Yum, yum!
Hey everybody, I want to show you guys some more progress. I've made progress on the mouth rig to the point where I have a standalone assembly preset that I can drop into my scene and fit into place and then start applying weights and shapes and making things happen. So I kind of wanted to show the fitting workflow. So this is an early thing and I'm refining it as I go, but I think you might get a kick out of it. So let's just dive in, right? So before we can start making shapes, we need to put the rig, the master rigs, into place. So a lot of the design in this was to make it easy for the fitting TD, not the master rigging TD, to be able to deploy these rigs. So I have this shape here, it's basic, and so I'm going to go to my assemblies, and I'm going to just double click and add the mouth rig. So now I've got this kind of mess of stuff, which I will explain what it is, and in the training we'll go through each piece and exactly why it is and how to use it and all that stuff. But it's broken up into sections, so let's take a look at my assembly preset here, and if I go to my assembly channels, by default, we'll turn some of these guys off so it's just easier to see. We've got all of our fitting, right? So that's all the pieces that you need to move around. And then I've got all the different components or parts of the fitting separated. So, and let's turn off these right now. So like for instance, this is the mouth corner slide. And this is the mouth corner lift. So how the mouth corner moves around the face versus how the mouth corner moves up the face. And then we've got what I'm calling the corner tweak, which is the little controls on the inside of the lip. And then there's the mouth main, which is taking the whole mouth, so both lips, moving them up and down, twisting them, and doing all that other stuff. And then we've got a cheeks rig, which allows for inflation and things like that, which is more of a used in combination with the other bits, but it's a separate kind of rigging idea, so it has to kind of be fit separately. So let's just start with the basic. At this point, I'm going to turn all these guys back on just so we can see them. We want to make sure that we are in setup mode. That's really important for this thing to work. And then I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to select the root of the rig, and we're going to move it into place. So everything that's in there is sort of self-contained, and I'm just going to move it so that the mouth corner slide is sort of matched up with this. This is just to get your rigs in the best possible starting place. It's a little noisy looking now, but we'll make it look simpler. So I'm looking at this curve here, and I'm just trying to bring it up to as close to where the mouth corners are. Right? That's a good starting point. All right. And then we'll pop in and out of setup mode so that the spline effectors will redraw. It's not necessary. It just makes it nicer for me. Okay. So we've got that in the right place. So let's just start fitting things. So I'm going to go back to my assembly here. I already had it selected. I'm going to turn all these guys off. And let's just start with the corner slide. So this first curve. Okay. So I'm going to go to the top view here. And think about this is the path in which your mouth corner moves. And when you move your mouth, right, you move the corner of your mouth, you go into smiles and everything else, it's actually kind of sliding along your teeth, which means as you go forward and do these kind of shapes, it's pushing along the teeth and then it goes back. Now, with characters, especially cartoony characters, you'll push this all over the place. Sometimes you want the smile to go really wide, sometimes you'll want it to go really deep. But that's what this line is. Represents the path. And the way I've built the rig is that you can click on this joint. That's not really a joint. This pick thing. It's a locator. And move it around. You'll see that the right side will go along with it. So I want these guys to go in a little more. So I'm just going to pull these guys in to adjust the shape. Now, I've also designed pick walking into this. So if I just hit my arrow keys, I can move on to the next element. It makes it really easy, especially if you do try to fit these things when there's a lot of clutter in there. But, excuse me, I think that's good. You can actually see kind of where it was and where you're bringing it to. And I just wanted to bring it in a little bit more. It's fine. Depending on the character, obviously, will depend on what you want to do with that. Let's go to this guy here and just tweak it out so that it's a little less shallow, right? And the nice thing about this is you can come back and adjust this anytime. So once everything's weighted and everything's working, you can play with it. And you're like, yeah, I really want to change the way the mouth corner is moving. It's not giving me enough volume or whatever. You just go back into setup, tweak these things, and you're off to the races. All right. Okay. So I think that's good for that. So let's go back here. Let's do something here. Let's save this thing so that if something goes wrong, because things never go wrong with software, we don't lose our work. All right, so let's go back here, go to my assembly channels, and let's turn the mouth corner lift. All right, so these are for the mouth corners going up the face. So I'm just going to take the main fitting piece here. I'm going to pull it so it's closer to the front. It doesn't really matter other than this kind of helps me visualize the planes of the face and stuff like that and how I want stuff to go. And let's look at the front view. I think we're going to, let's take this. So I've got that guy for the center, and then we'll move this over, kind of moves it to the corner. And the whole time you got to think about, you know, what's going on in the face? What's the structure? What are things moving through or on or over to get shapes that you normally see when a character moves their face? So in this case, I want that, but I want to adjust this a little bit. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna rotate it forward just a little bit so it's kind of more in line with the plane of the face. Now, I don't want it to actually go that far up. It's more down that I'm worried about. This kind of gets set up, gives me a starting point. But let's tweak these splines now. So I'm gonna pull this up here. It's a subtle thing, but it'll actually make a big difference in the quality of the animation. And actually, I pulled that a little too far out. And then these guys, will pull them a little further in. Looks like little movements, but it will make a big difference. And again, what's nice is we can change this after the fact. Once we get a starting point here, I think that looks good. Real simple. Once we get a starting point, and you go, huh, what happened there? And this is good. This means there's something wrong with my rig. This is why we test these things. So when what did I do? You see the mistake? Because I see it right now. I moved these things and I wasn't in setup mode. That's why this thing jumped. So basically, I got to roll back and do that because I don't want to go back in and reselect all these things and apply to setup mode. We can try and see what happens. Mistakes happen, man, and I make lots of them. So let's take this and set up, and I don't know if this will work. Well, maybe it will. And we'll frame this out again. And we'll say apply to setup rest. And will it pop in right? Nope. All right, so mistake made. So I'm just going to undo this bad boy. And we'll fix this up again. This is something that happens all the time, man. You do something you shouldn't. All right, so let's viz this guy. Hey, now let's go back into setup mode and do that over. So I'll take this and let's pull this forward where it belongs, and you can see this is the beauty of the way this rig is designed. It's not that hard to recover from a mistake like that. So we'll go here and we'll pull it to the corner again, and then we will rotate it. All right, we'll get that there, and now we will go back to where we were a few minutes ago, and we'll pull this like that. And we'll pull these guys down just a little bit. Again, I just want it to hug the face a little bit and come down, you know, so there's a little bit of an arc. It'll show off more in combination than anything. And now we'll go here and all right. That's where we should have been. So let's go back out of here. And this is good. I'm doing lots of these tests, and I'm just going to take you guys along for the ride, so that as I find these errors or things that I need to fix or do whatever in these rigs, I can get them in so that when we're deploying them for real, I've caught as many as I can. So anyway, there's the mouth corner. So let's go back to here, and we'll turn off that, and let's do the tweak. So these guys just need to be set up here. So I'm going to take the root of this, and I think this is the one I want. Yep, so I'm going to bring this guy forward, and then I'm going to take these guys, and let's take that there, switch to wireframe just so I can see, because the way this works is I want, this is a, this allows the little corner, the edge of the mouth to do something, like to just a little bit of a twist and a push in. With silhouettes, that's really important. Also, this allows you to do some non-physically accurate movements of the mouth line itself, so that you can push things back and forth, so that when you got a character on the side and you see the mouth is maybe sticking out from the camera view, you can push it out of the way so that the silhouette looks more graphic, stuff like that. So it's sort of it's totally a cheater control, but you want to be able to, if this is your mouth corner, you want to put it there. So let's take a look. It's about right. And then this one, the rotation actually matters. So what I want to do is I want to not have that little pop-up, and I'm going to rotate this guy around so that it's kind of along the plane of the lip at this point. And that gives me that. So that's now the mouth corner kind of tweak is fit. Let's go to our next piece. And this is our mouth mane. So this is the movement of the whole mouth. So let's take this bad boy and click on this and move it forward. So this one doesn't have to be embedded in the lip directly, but again, what's nice is, you know, why not just use a translate, right? You look at it, well, if I'm going to move it up and down, left and right, why not just use a translate? Well, I want it to look like or feel like it's sliding along the teeth. I want it to move along the face. So even rotations don't work great for that because we are built in non-linear, non-arc length ways. So to get that look, you know, we kind of have to have that control. All right, so we'll pop in and out of here just so that things look all nice and clean. So this here is, I do allow some of that over, like physically incorrect straight up and down stuff, mostly for the twist, right? Because you want to take the mouth and you want to be able to turn it. So if you make a cool shape with the lip rig, which isn't in here right now, and you just want to turn the face or turn the mouth a little bit or shift it up and down and stuff, this gives you sort of a tweak on top of that. So that's just set in the back there. But okay, let's play around with this. Let's take our this and let's do it. So I'm just going to pull these guys. And I'm going to make it so that it's coming along the arc of the face just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. All right. So I think this gives me, again, it doesn't have to be a lot, but you just want to make it feel like it's coming down and around. It's coming around the mountain. I could also, grab this guy, and I could tweak this whole thing and rotate it if I wanted to as well. Again, we'll do this. That looks good to me. What did I do wrong again? I keep coming out of there and not messing with it. So let's go back into... All right, there we go. So something is not right. I have found an error. So by clicking on this, I am not getting... There's something wrong with my rig. So when I grab this and I fit it this way and I come there, something is snapping back. And what does that mean? That means that I have an errant value in there. So what I need to do is I need to take this whole rig. So let's do this. We can fix this pretty quickly. Let's undo that and bring it back to the starting point. So I need to go through and find all that, and I need to remove all of the values that are in there. Again, this is rig testing as much as it is showing you guys what's going on. So let's dive into here a little bit. So I've got my mouth main rig, and it appears, and you know what? We're going to do it better than that. We're going to go here. I'm going to dig in. We're going to go in, guys. I'm going in. So we'll go to mouth main, and let's take a look at the mouth up down. So here's all the rigging that's involved in this. You guys won't have to mess with this, but let's take this stuff here and right click, and we are going to go to, come out of this thing here, setup, and I'm going to restore, and I'm going to say transforms only because I don't want to mess with the other channels, and all will be removed. So that should work. We'll see. If it doesn't, then I've got some more work to do. So we'll go here, pull this guy forward. There it is. Okay, so basically what happened, we'll undo this, is that I left some dummy values in there that need to be removed. So I can go into the assembly and fix it. So let's take the side rig and go up there again. I always like showing these mistakes. I think it's important for you guys to see that it's not like Julia Child where you rig something and you're like, oh, look at this magic, and and I'll pull it out of the oven, it's all done. Oh man, there's mistakes all over the place. It's constantly balancing these things out, figuring out what mistakes you've made, and then iterating, and over time you'll make less mistakes, but man, they never go away. Restore transforms only, say okay. All right, so now we are back out of this. So now, if I attempt this again, I go into my setup mode. I go here and I say, hey, I want to rotate this guy so it's more along the edge there as a start. And I come out of that. Look at that. All right, so mistakes aside, let's actually finish this fit. So I'm going to pull this guy here. I'm going to pull this guy here. Again, I kind of want it to sort of roll up and then come down a bit. And again, it's subtle. You'll notice I'm not making, really big changes to this. So let's go here. Let's do that. And we'll go here. And what did I do again? My gosh, I'm not in setup mode anymore. I have got to remember to stay in setup mode. So let's try this again. So for all of you who go and forget to be in setup mode and makes your life a pain, just know that I'm also struggling with that. Oh man, it's like, could they just make a setup mode so that I know that I'm in setup? Yeah, well they do that, and I'm not in it, so no one to blame but me. I think it's because I keep jumping in and out. I like to see the before and after on the spline, and then see the final. So that's really on me. So, okay. Hey, finally, those 5 knots are in the right place. All right. Now let's take a look at these guys. I am in setup mode. Let's pull these guys around. So I want these to move along the face a little bit. Again, this is why I don't just use a translate. You want this mouth to move and sort of embed in the cheek a little bit. Even though it's, in a way, kind of a cheater, it's like when that kind of thing, right? You're pulling your mouth around. You're still dealing with the physics or the way your muscles are moving things around. Even in a cartoon, which is going to be more cartoony, we want to be able to do that. All right. So check it out. We have a fit character. Oh, let's do the cheeks. Now, the cheeks are we're using a repulsor. It's actually not a repulsor. It's a magnet effector that's set to repulse. So that gives you that big kind of inflation look. So it's actually a big sphere that pushes along there. So we have to adjust it so that it works too. All right, so let's go back here. I'm going to turn off mouth main. We're going to do mouth cheeks. So what is this all about? So here is this radius, this thing here. You can see kind of on the face how we have this nice kind of round. I mean, your cheeks are round. So we're going to move these guys into a better position. So I'm going to take this guy and we're going to move it. Again, it's all about making the left and right so you can focus on one side. I'm a left first kind of TD, so I tend to not tend to, I do make it so that that the left drives the right, and then you go to the right to introduce asymmetry. And we'll get into that later, because some characters, it's important that you do get asymmetric editing, right? You don't want necessarily the left and the right to work exactly the same. So you may want to weight that differently and adjust it. So I build that into these rigs so that you have that ability. Okay. All right, so this kind of shows that, and as we go through here, we can sort of see what we're looking for. And actually, I'm going to pull this out a little bit. So at the end of the day, what you want is it to sort of be inside the cheek without touching it, so that you have this this kind of soft push against the cheek. So I'm going to pull this there. It's a little, still a little in there, so we'll pull that there. I think that's good. And we'll obviously have a chance to tweak it. Now, once I've got this sort of aligned, think about the line between here, and actually looking at this, I probably should make a physical, like a locator line, just so you guys can see it. It gives you the ability to sort of show the direction in which that push is going to happen. Now, it's still a sphere, but in this rig, you can roll the sphere up and down, left and right, so where its starting position and orientation makes a difference on which or how the direction of this thing goes. So that's what I'm doing here, right? So I want that roll to kind of go up a little bit and then push toward the front of the face. Again, it's all, we can tweak it after the fact. And then if I grab this, I can play with the size of the sphere for its default setting. And then we have controls where we can override that and make the size whatever we want and animate the size. But anyway, that is the cheek. So if we take a look now at our rig, this is a nice long video for you guys. I've now fit that, and what did I do again? Oh my gosh, I just fit the repulsor, not in setup mode. Luckily for us, me, the guy doing the video for you, the repulsor doesn't have the spline stuff in there, so its starting point, it's okay for, I can actually, it's the way it is affecting the mesh will actually be with a physical movement in the scene, so it doesn't actually matter. But I forgot again. So anyway, there is our rig, and it's fit. All the pieces are fit. Now the beauty of this, and I'm actually going to stop at this point, and I'll go through doing the weights and stuff, and then I'll show you the animation interface after. So there'll be, you'll actually see it. It'll be like, hey, this the chicken is coming out of the oven done, and it's mainly because there's still work for me to do on the backside, and so I'm going to go through some pretty inelegant hoops to get things to work. But it's I don't want to go through and do the full weighting right now. I just want to see things moving to make sure that they're working right. So I'm going to show that to you guys here in the next couple of seconds for you. But anyway, go here, and now I can turn this off, and the beauty of this is that you don't need to see any of that anymore. Now you can focus on shapes. Now you can focus on weighting. So, you know, one of the things that we're going to do, and this will be a little easier to get to in the final version, but, you know, is here are weight containers, right? So all of the fitting is in place, and you'll see the animation controls here in just a second, so that I can slide values. They're going to make sense. I can tweak what a value means, and you'll see that. And I just add weights into these weight containers. So now that the fitting, the structure is in place, I can then abstract that and do the weighting separately. All this is wired into the rig. I don't have to think about where it all fits and what it's doing. I mean, we're good to go. So anyway, on to part 2 of this video, which will be showing the anim interface.